Hello and welcome to the Snickerdoodle Knits YouTube channel. I am Jessica, the knitting designer and coach behind Snickerdoodle Knits. This video is a little bit different than normal. So usually on my YouTube channel I have design overview videos talking about my patterns, and I have tutorials for specific techniques that I use in my patterns, so knitting techniques. This video I am going to be talking about my design journey, and some of the things that I felt like were missing in the overall designer community, and what I have done about that. So I don't ever create a script for my videos. I like to just be authentic and let things flow. So hopefully this goes well. But I guess let's go ahead and start with, I've been designing knitting patterns for a little over 2.5 years. Well, I published my first pattern a little over 2.5 years ago. And I had been selling hand knits on Etsy for 6 months before that. So I started my Etsy shop in October of 2018. Long story short, I basically had, because of a move and I was supposed to be working remotely, my hours ended up getting cut from 60 hours a week to 10 hours a week. And I essentially didn't have very many job options where I was. So I started my Etsy shop, and I had the time to spend basically full-time. It was full-time, it was more than full-time on the Etsy shop. So I was, from the very beginning, very interested in how to make this a successful business. I did start it as Snickerdoodle Knits, it's the same name. But I started following all of these marketers and business people to really learn how to run a business. I had no idea anything about business. I was an engineering major, architectural engineering, and then I worked in architecture, I worked in construction, I worked in interior design. And I never ever wanted to run a business. It just felt like there were too many things to juggle. And I thought that I liked being really specific in a niche and getting good at that. Since then I've discovered I actually really love running a business, and I love figuring out all the different parts. But anyway, that's kind of how it started. As I transitioned into a designer, of course I was still looking for all of the help with marketing and business. I started joining some different memberships. I had all along been listening to lots of free content, emails, webinars, podcasts, so much. I have notebooks full of notes that I've taken from all of these experts. But as I continued in my design journey, I was getting really frustrated that there wasn't anybody really talking about how to apply these things specifically to knitting pattern designs. How to apply it to our industry. Yeah, I could apply a lot of the information, but it's like I have really specific questions. There are things that are niche specific where I would like to be able to ask people these questions. And I also was struggling to find a place where there was really a community of designers that were interested in collaboration. Often it feels like community, yeah, sometimes we're uplifting people, but a lot of times it feels like we're supposed to be in competition with each other, and so we're kind of scared to tell too much to each other. And I even found that in groups that I was in, paid programs that were supposed to be communities, it's like nobody was quite comfortable enough to really talk honestly and vulnerably about what's happening, what we're going through as pattern designers and as businesses, what we're struggling with, and how we can help each other, lift each other up to have successful businesses. So I started thinking about this probably about 2.5 years ago, and kept looking and looking. I found stuff that was specific for like when you're just starting off learning how to design patterns. Recently there's been a couple of different programs with people fiber adjacent, a little bit specific to designers, but I still wasn't finding what I was looking for, and that was really frustrating to me. And I finally had a coach. I was, talking about how someday I wanted to be somebody who could provide that for other people. I could give them that wealth of knowledge. I could share with them, and I could be open, and I could provide that space. And so one of my coaches, she's like, why can't you do that now? Like, well, I don't have a super successful business. I'm not making 6 figures, and I'm not like, I don't feel like I'm an expert in this industry. And she said, but you know stuff, right? And so that's when I started to think about how I could use this, and started off with one-on-one coaching with new pattern designers, so that I could help them through the pattern design process, really finding who they are as a person and as a brand, and then stepping into how they then can market those patterns. Because yes, I have learned a ton in the last 3 years. No, I don't know everything, and there's still a lot of things that I'm trying to figure out myself, but I can still help folks that are just starting out. And then I started to think about a community where I could bring people together. We could have that connection as knitting pattern designers, where we really can connect and have that community, where we can have real collaborations, where we aren't scared to let our guard down, where we're open and vulnerable and willing to ask questions, and I'm willing to answer those questions, and anybody else in the group is able to answer those questions. And then I also wanted to bring in experts. It's like, okay, so if we don't have a place we can go already that's filled with the expert knowledge that I'm looking for, maybe I can create a place where I can bring the knowledge in. So I'm not going to claim to be the expert of everything, but I can bring in the experts, and I can kind of facilitate it so that it really is catered to our businesses, and we get the information that we need. So that's really how it all started. And I could not move away from the idea. It was like something that just kept nagging at me. It's like I really needed to do this, even though I didn't feel like able to. I didn't feel like it was my place to. Like, there are designers who have been designing far longer than I have. I've only been designing full time. I put a ridiculous number of hours into my work, but I've been doing it for a little over 2.5 years. But finally, through some coaching and things like that, I decided, okay, this is something I really want to do. I know there's a need for it. Talked to some other folks in my audience, some designer friends, and I knew there was some interest in that. So that's when I created the Design Circle. And we are 2 months into the Design Circle actually being a thing and having members inside of it. And I can't express like how good it feels that those things that I was looking for are actually happening in the Design Circle. There are so many real, authentic conversations and so many things that I'm actually able to help people with, especially on the marketing side, really building the brand foundation. And it just feels so good. And so, like, there is this true collaboration happening, a true sense of community, a true sense of really trying to help each other and lift each other up, and knowing that we are in this together. And we don't have to fear the success of other people. We can celebrate the successes of each other, and we can learn from each other, and we can know that we are all on our very own unique journeys, and none of our journeys need to look the same. They shouldn't look the same. We are each doing what is authentic to ourselves and what we feel right for ourselves. And so it doesn't make sense to be trying to do what everybody else is doing. So that's the Design Circle. That's how it came to be. And I'm so excited that there were people that were actually interested. When I launched the Design Circle in September 2021, this is now November, it sold out before, like, I had put a max capacity on it, and it was sold out like 4 days before I had planned on closing the doors. And people have been so appreciative of the community inside. And so it's just been an amazing place. So that is the Design Circle. If you are interested in the Design Circle, you can go to snickerdoodlenits.com /design-circle. I'll have it linked down below too. But basically now what it's turned into is we have the guest speakers. We have 2 guest speakers a month. There's one specific to designing, one specific to business. So we get that support every month. We're kind of starting with the fundamentals and building up from there. But even with people joining later, it's not like they're have to go back to the very beginning and complete everything first. I'm very much an advocate for using what you need in your business right now. So if there's things that don't apply to you, don't worry about them. If there's something that you need that we've covered in the past, yeah, go back and refer to that. I have all of the replays available, all of that information for you, or for the designers inside. So there are the 2 guest speakers per month. I'm adding in more workshops and guest designers that are, more just to talk about their design journey and things like that. We have what I call the design challenges. So we have 4 creativity bursts per year. Those are week-long design challenges where each day I have a different prompt to encourage you to really think outside of the box to create a design idea. So I really want you to let your imagination run, your creativity run to create an idea. And then, so we have 4 of those each year, 1 per quarter, and those are a week long with 1 prompt every day for 7 days. So the idea is then you have 7 design ideas that you can move forward with if you want to. We don't actually write the pattern and all of that. No, we do have 1 design along per year, may change to 2, we'll see. And that is a month-long event where we are working on a design. We are each working on a design throughout that period. So we have live calls each week. Right now I'm planning on 2 calls per week. Our first one won't be until March, I think. February, March, April. No, it's April. April of 2022. But it's a month long. We will have 2 calls per week where we can just chat about the process, ask questions as we're going along. It's an opportunity to really try something new. So if you've never worked a garment before, designed a garment before, it might be a good opportunity to design a garment while you have the support of other people to help you through the process. But it's really seeing a design from start to finish. We also have planning with that design along to create a whole collaboration for those who are interested, where we put together a book. So they will be related patterns. You will work on that pattern through the design along, and then we will publish the book. Still figuring out what all that looks like, but that is the idea. And so right now we have 1 design along a year. You can participate in the design along even if you don't want to participate in the publication idea. Let's see here. So we have that. Each week I have a weekly discussion prompt that I'm sharing. So that's really asking questions and getting you to think about different aspects of your business, and really creating a discussion around that. I always answer what you share. So if you share something and I want you to think a little bit deeper about it, or I have more questions for you to consider, or maybe I want to nudge you to maybe actually work on something, it's kind of like coaching in there. So I have a weekly discussion prompt each week. And then each week I also share a whole overview of what's happened the last week and where you can find information if you haven't been paying attention, because that's totally fine. Life happens. I don't expect you to keep up with everything inside the design circle because there is a lot of stuff going on. Again, I am a huge advocate for only participating in what you need. So really gauging what is actually useful, beneficial information for you. The community is located on Discord, so we have lots of different channels inside of there with different topics, and you can mute any of the topics that you want. So if you find that you're not interested in any of the designing chat, but you're only interested in the business chat, you can mute all of the channels about designing. If you're not interested in the weekly discussion prompts, you can mute that channel. So that's something that I really like about Discord. What else? We have a whole collaborations thread where I'm really trying to get folks to think about ways we can collaborate together. We have a collaboration coming out for Small Business Saturday where anyone who is interested could submit a design that they wanted included in the pattern guide, and we'll all send that out to our email lists and social media and all of that to really get word out about all of these different designers, because there are so many designers out there. Oh, and then there's small groups. So whether you want to call them accountability groups, if you want to call it like a mastermind, if you want to call it small group, whatever you want to call it. It's a group of 3 to 4 designers in a group. And the idea is that you guys are able to meet up separately outside of the community. So you can really do a deep dive and get to know each other's businesses. You can talk about challenges you're facing. You can talk about things you need help with. You can talk about goals. You can get accountability for those goals. But it's really a way for you to connect on a deeper level with just a few people, and build a deeper connection that way, and also challenge each other and help each other grow. Yes, so there are so many wonderful, exciting things. I have lots of things in mind for the future that I'm really excited about seeing how the design circle grows. But for those of you that have been curious about the design circle, that's what it is. That's why it started. If you're feeling like somebody who was like me just a few months ago, wishing that there was a community that you could participate in and really feel like you can connect with other designers, if you're struggling with the marketing business aspect of designing, any of that, of course, take a look at the page about the design circle. The waitlist is always available if the doors are not open. Doors will be opening soon. And if you are on the waitlist, you always get early notification when the doors are open, and you get some special discounts and bonuses and things like that. Let's see. So that is the design circle. That is a bit about my journey as a designer. And if you have any questions at all about anything that I shared in here, if you want to talk about the design circle, if you want to just talk about my journey as a designer, if you want to talk about the designing community in general, just throughout the world, I'd love to hear from you. Go ahead and leave your comments down below. Connect with me on Instagram at Snickerdoodle, and I look forward to seeing you around. So happy knitting and happy designing. Talk to you later.